Well, I'm usually not one to tout around about what I've done in my life, but I'm 48 years old. I'm trying to teach digital modeling to some pretty traditional methods of sculpture and involve some maths and algebra to get us up to speed when it comes to design, to conception. And yes, I'm doing a great job at it. So let's continue with the nodes. I'm feeling pretty confident. Let's go into the operators and take a look at the logic operators and look at them geometrically. So if you've never thought gate and, gate not, gate nor, or, XOR, majority, Nand, there's NOR, there's Xnor. Let's take a look at where they're applied to in this script. And there they are. They can all be swapped out. And I'm just going to jump right into that and Control-Shift and change my geometry. And there you go. There's a gate NOR. There's a gate OR, right? So you get a different geometry on it. Let's go on to the gate XOR. Another geometry is generated. And a gate majority. There's another form. There's a gate NAND. So use logic. And some of them are similar, and actually one of them is defunct, which will be the last one, which just is there is no gate NOR. Actually, there is. No. Gate NAND works, but gate NOR does not work in the end. So let's just take all those and pop them into anything. That one's not so attractive. Let's put them up into here. Gate and let's stop. Actually, I kind of like that funkiness of here because I would never have modeled that. So let's just leave that. And let's go in, and there's a render of some pretty cool geometry. Now, how is that geometry made? And why is that bagpipe geometry made? Let's take a look at the script I put together for people. And yes, I've added a bunch of colors onto it. And yes, I have a bunch of other scripts here, but they're doing nothing. This one is straightforward, laid out, and you should be able to logically follow it if you're into any of this. So basically, I went in and I populated a 2D. Pretty simple. I populated it with 11 points. What happens when you start to change these? You start to have incredible geometries as you go. So don't think that the first param doesn't absolutely give you a range of infinite possibilities. Beautiful shapes, forms, colorful, everything. This script you're going to want because this script is pretty cool. You apply this to other things, and yes, you've ended up, and yeah, I've got Melissa and Doug's kind of color code on here. Maybe Melissa and Doug will hire me to do something. Anyway, I'm not angry. I took some points, and I found basically between them, I wanted to move the geometry of a selected point, a single point, in a motion upwards. And I think I just shot it up there. Actually, I brought it up and I brought it down. So I took those points and I brought them both up and down on the page. And in doing so, I have 3 points now. I want the distance because I want to know about distance. And like I said, whenever I do distance, I bring in larger than signs. I could do larger than, quality, less than. This is a good time to swap out some other operators that we covered in the last tutorial. So go in here, take a look at the operands, and instead of doing larger than, bring in a less than, and just Control-Shift all those plugins in and see how that shifts. That's not operating right now, but that's fine. When I have a line, and I have the lines above and the lines below, I'm not even doing anything with those lines. Actually, this one I actually am, and this one I am. For some reason, I forgot to plug in my lists here to this one because I just left the other one. So let's plug that one in, and let's plug this one in. And that may have an effect on it, obviously. And now I've got the point start finish on each of those lines. And because I'm pretty good at grafting, pretty good at flattening, and in grafting, I can build these incredible arcs that are all chosen to then go through a variable pipe, which I've set to be this pretty cool geometry. And this is totally transformed. Like the major geometry is all of this. But what is chosen depends on what you go through on these logical operands. So as I go there, you see there's a lot of action happening. I'm going to have to leave for a second and go down here and probably select my my colors, or I'm in render, or maybe I messed things up by changing that script. I don't think I did. There they are. And I should be able to pull up my colors. Well, those are the ones selected because of my operands. What a nice, simple script. So let's take a look if anything did change and plug in those last two. I don't recognize all these geometries, and I just missed two in the process. But I like this more oval pattern. This is more completed. And all I did was play with a little bit of those line hookups up above. So even though I started the script to show one thing, as soon as I look into it, and once again, the gate NOR does not work. So obviously, it's not selecting anything through its chosen, but just because I missed these couple of lines going here for the call pattern to those starts and finishes, I ended up with some pretty cool things. So I actually plugged that list into there, and I think I plugged that list into there, and I ended up with some different geometries. But either way, I'm more happy with these two. It seems more planned and purposeful. But art is a disinterested interest. It's a purposeless purpose, and what a nice way to come up with some cool geometries to turn into whatever I want. Completely parametric model goes back to the first param, and I'm not even deciding to shift those points. You shift any point on there, you end up really having control over independent geometries, even after exploding it up and changing its scale. You can really end up choosing different things on here, and in the same breath, it's related to the amount of points that you put into your initial cube. And those ones are getting kind of interesting to look at, but to me, they're getting a little too stringy like spaghetti. So as I pull those up, I'll be like, well, and I haven't even put caps on or played with that. If I did that, I probably would want to funk this up a little bit, and I could generate maybe using the graph mapper to pull up the scale a bit on that side. And if I want to bring in more signs, I can really ripple this and bounce the shapes. And you'll see what happens here as I move it towards, start to get this really ugly, bubbly ballooning nonsense, and it just crashed out on me. It's like, I don't think so. You're going a little crazy on me, Wickerson. And then right-click here and take that count up to 5, and now you're going to really balloon it, and it should react, and there you go. Total control over what's happening. I'm not happy with that one at all. I think if I go back, it doesn't correct anything in here, so you have to go in. And one thing I don't like about the graph mappers is they don't really save your data for you. At least I don't think they do. So there it is, a little bit of rippled. I don't have to have it all the way up. I can bring it down so it's not fat at the ends. I can bring in more items. I kind of like that bouncing shape. At any point, I can play with the caps. I believe that's a 0 to 2 range integers, so I should be able to just put in a cap and have no cap, flat cap, and round cap, and that just makes that soft little end on there. Anyhow, nice little geometry, not too exciting. Well, it's exciting. I think it's exciting. But it's to teach you the physicality, the choices, making what slowed me down so much in math and computers and algebra in my late teens and early 20s. Now I can visualize it. And I think this is really a tool for the visual artist, designer, programmer, architect, any maker of any sort, conceptual all the way through to fabrication. What control? So I'm going to crank this just in the end. You can always turn off the solver by putting down. Then you can bring that right up. And I'm not sure what's going to... it crashed out at that high count. It's like, I don't think so. Actually, I did crash. My solver's off. Turn the solver on and wait a second. Not much of a change because it's still picking distances. And now I'm trying to move it while it's... I'm moving it in another way. Anyhow, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. 8-minute video.